On to the next conference finals losers, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, last episode, we did a Kevin Durant mock trade, discussed if the Timberwolves should go after KD because that's a big rumor right now in the NBA world. In this segment, we're going to talk about the options they have available to them. And you let me know which option you think is the best. If you were Tim Connolly right now, you're running the Timberwolves, this is how you would manage this offseason. There are 3 options. Option number 1 is re-sign Julius Randle, re-sign Naz Reid, you lose Alexander Walker, and you run it back.
Can I know what that Randall contract is? Because he's due for damn near 50
Do we also get to know the other 2 options?
Yes, you do. Okay. Just assume the Randall contract is, let's say, even though he's eligible for $49 million, it doesn't mean Minnesota is going to pay that.
Yeah.
So let's say it's $40 million per year they're paying him. Okay. They keep Randall and Reed. They keep picks 17 and 31 because they have 2 picks in this upcoming draft.
Fire.
And this is how their lineup would be. So just with the players they could target at pick 17 and 31, point guard, big man, 2 of their biggest needs, I believe.
Why are they getting point guard?
Because Conley is retiring. You need 2 point guards. You need 2 point guards.
They need a starter.
Yeah, they need another point guard. Rob Dillingham, you better watch out. But the players mocked in their range, Nolan Traore, he plays in I think France.
Young and raw.
He has exceptional burst. He's really fast. He plays defense. He has length.
Good passer. Can't shoot.
Yes. Walter Clayton Jr., somebody that can really shoot.
Bucket.
Fresh. Ready.
Destroyed his draft stock with the chip or whatever was the last game that he played.
And Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Oh, the center from Creighton.
Yes.
Okay.
He's 7 foot.
100%.
He blocks shots. He's a good defender. That's like the potential long-term Gobert replacement, potentially. So their lineup would be Conley, Edwards, McDaniels, Randall, Gobert, Naz Reid, Dante, Shannon Jr., Dillingham, Clark, the 2 rookies I just named, and Leonard Miller.
Yeah,
so they're running it back.
Same roster except without.
This is option 2. So now you know option 1. Keep that ingrained in your minds. Option 2, they make a major move, i.e. Kevin Durant. They sign and trade Randall plus Dante DiVincenzo plus Dillingham or the 17th overall pick, and they keep Naz Reid in the deal. The lineup would be Conley, Edwards, McDaniels, KD, Gobert. On the bench, they'd have Naz Reid, Terrence Shannon Jr., Jalen Clark, and the 17th pick and the 31st pick.
So we're locking it. Nikhil's gone.
It might take them over the second apron.
It would definitely take them over the second apron. They're already
Nas
flirting with it right now.
is getting 20 mil.
Option 1, respectfully.
Me too.
Because Nas is getting 20 mil and Randall's at least 40.
Yeah,
so that'd be a lot of salary.
Locked.
This is option 3. You retain Randall, you retain Reed, and you make a minor trade. Now, they have a glaring need at point guard. That is their biggest need. If they are trying to make another deep playoff run, they probably are not entrusting Rob Dillingham to play major minutes in the playoffs and be that guy. So in this scenario, I have him trading for Lonzo Ball.
Oh.
Not an all-star point guard,
terrible.
but Lonzo led the Bulls in point differential this season. They were 7 points better with him defensively, and he played, I think, 30 games or more.
My bags are packed. My bags are packed.
Defensively, Lonzo was elite this year, and he is somebody that can bring elite defense to Minnesota. He can be a connector for them. And
really good shooter.
The lineup would be Lonzo starts now with Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Randall, Gobert, and the Lonzo trade, the 2 contracts that would make the trade easy, either trade Mike Conley or Dante DiVincenzo, and maybe the 17th overall pick. I don't know what Lonzo's value is, or maybe one of the young players like Terrence Shannon Jr. and Jalen Clark. Just one of those go, like a combination of like 1 or 2 of those. So the lineup would be on the bench. You'd still have Naz Reid. You'd have Mike Conley. Let's say Dante goes in the trade. You'd have Mike Conley. You'd have Shannon Jr. You'd have Jalen Clark. You'd have Rob Dillingham. You'd still have the 17th and 31st overall pick as well.
But you also have Lonzo Ball.
And you add on. So it's basically the current core and treasure chest of assets. Not that it's a treasure chest per se, but you're just adding Lonzo Ball. He might not be that expensive.
He's at like 10 mil.
We just saw OKC go trade Josh Giddey for Caruso. And Giddey was a non-factor in the lineup. Like, what if
Could you sign and trade Alexander Walker for Lonzo?
you could? That's an option too. They could
Lonzo's
sign
like
it
would
for.
20.
I would like. Well,
Not,
he'll be
Lonzo's
making
at
11.
10.
He'll be
Lonzo's
making,
at
like,
10
11.
million this year.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he signed a 2 for 40, or was it 2 for 20?
Nah, it was 2 for.
His
20,
next
yeah,
2 years is
20.
2 for 20.
Oh, okay,
Last year
okay.
his
I was thinking it was
contract
20
was I
annually.
think in a 20
I
mil.
think like I would
range.
love to keep Dante if I can, just because he has the respect of being a great shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you trade Conley, you trade a pick, and then you have
Conley might
Lonzo
be like, I'm
Dillingham.
retired. I don't know.
yeah, I like 3. I do like 3. I think getting Lonzo is a sneaky underrated move. Don't know how possible it is, but if we're just talking in this hypothetical world, really good move. Lonzo is like, obviously the injury stuff seemed like when he was playing though, he was getting his legs back. Great, always been a great defender.
Yeah.
Good instincts.
25
good
years
passer.
old.
Yeah, still young. So you love that, and then this would be in a role where the defense would only get better because he's playing around other great defenders. Doesn't have to do as much. And also you get to bring in 2 other young guys with the 17th pick. Maybe your Walter Clayton Jr. would be dope. You can grab your other point guard. At the 31 pick, you can grab a backup big and just keep going from there. If you want, like, that timeline makes sense for what they wanted to do, which was a transition year and kind of rely on the youth and try to make their moves in that department. I still think the Kevin Durant move is a move they should think about heavily if they want to really win or if they want to be in that competitive stage. Like you mentioned before, they made 2 WCFs. And in Ant-Man, who is their franchise player, he's getting closer and closer to that NBA Finals dream. And I think Kevin Durant gets them closer to that as opposed to all the other options. So I think that option and the third option I'd be thinking about.
As long as I have the opportunity to swap Kevin Durant and Julius Randle, I can't think of any other scenario that I would want more personally. So it's option 2.
Yeah, I think the Wolves really, no matter what, are going to be a second apron team, right? This year, they were right at that mark. Looking at next year, they're $12 million under the second apron. So you re-sign Randall for 40. All right, we're a second apron team, right? This is going to be a team that is going to have to deal with these restrictions. So if you're going to be a second apron team as is, I'd rather be a second apron team with Kevin Durant, right? Not only is he the better player, but he's also a bigger contract. So say a year from now or 2 years from now, if you move off KD, the second apron makes it so difficult because you can't aggregate salaries, right? You can't take a $25 million contract and a $20 million contract and get a guy worth 45. KD's making $50 million already. So if you want to get after that second apron, get out of it, you could use KD's $50 million contract and take in less salary. So it makes things easier down the road to potentially get out of that. So not only would you get the better player, but I also think it makes it easier to make some moves in the future. And they do feel like they're not huge, but like a semi-drastic move away from actually competing. Like they do feel like you are a couple, at least 1, maybe 2 tiers below OKC, and it's not fair because OKC is just amazing, but that's a competition. Like that's where you're gonna have to get past, barring, someone else knocking them off or them getting injured. So go and get Kevin Durant. I would not really want to pay Randall $40 million because you're 1 season of him being injured or him underperforming or him being bad in the playoffs again to what he just did this year gets thrown away. And this year gets looked at as an anomaly in the playoffs, and he's back to being a playoff dropper and inefficient, all of this. So if I could get off if I could get off Julius, get KD, plus in that trade, you keep Naz Reid, right? So like you're moving off Dante and Julius and Dillingham. So 2 rotational guys in the 17th pick. That's pretty good for Kevin Durant.
It's very dependent on what the Suns want because they're probably thinking of it like, okay, we like Randall. We have 4 guards in Grayson, Devin Booker, and Beal, and Royce O'Neal, who's like a guard/forward. Why would we want another one in Dante, who's like the same height and plays a similar role? So it depends on what they ask because they might ask for Randall and Naz Reid.
You could move off Grayson and get something else.
You could. They could, but they could ask for Naz Reid and Randall in that deal and the 17th pick or
the Wolves,
Rob Dillingham.
Please.
Like for me,
I'd also look to reroute Randall somewhere. I don't know. They're trying to compete though.
I love option 3. I really love the Lonzo Ball fit, praying that he could stay healthy.
That's another thing though. You're relying on,
But I think he is so impactful when he's on the court. He's still an elite defender. He's a connector. And it would still give the Timberwolves leeway to make moves heading into the future as well.
Yeah, and it also just goes into what the NBA has become these last couple of years, where the move isn't to trade multiple rotation guys for a superstar. It's to keep your depth and then around the margins find some guys that could play at like not maybe an all-star level, but a notch below, have them be healthy. They could play defense. They're not a liability. They can shoot. That's where we've seen work.
Yeah, so that's what I would lean with if I was them. I just think Minnesota's in a great spot to where they can keep all three options open to them, and I don't think neither would be a bad decision. The OKC point of it all, I think OKC's a tier above everybody in the West.
Yeah, there might be a tier above everybody in the NBA.
Yeah, unless Denver makes a major move in the offseason to where they can get on a similar level as them. It's all about luck, I think, sometimes in the league. Minnesota has made the conference finals twice. If something breaks differently, could they get to the NBA finals? For example, Game 7 OKC versus Denver. If Denver beat OKC and they just had a great performance in that game, and you get an injured Denver team with Aaron Gordon playing on a grade 2 hamstring and MPJ playing on a shoulder injury, could Minnesota have gotten past them to make the finals? I think it's a more realistic scenario. So I think things sometimes just break your way more favorably. And if they keep their current core intact, hell, I even think with KD, if they could get lucky one of those years, they can break through. But even with like a KD going to Minnesota, I don't think it makes them more talented than OKC. And even with any of the options here, it doesn't make them more talented. I just like the assets because with the 17th pick and 31st pick, you can draft two good players. I mean, we've seen teams in the past
They've been great at
draft
drafting.
two starters in those spots. So if they can find another point guard, if they can find a center to replace Gobert eventually down the line, like I think that is the way that Minnesota's going to go with their offseason.